So I'm excited. This is now our third ALD Connect meeting. We just started 2 years ago in 2013, and I think we're showing a good momentum, and just the mere fact that we have so many different people here coming from so many different perspectives is fantastic, and I hope that as the meeting goes on, we'll be bringing more people in who are adding to the discussion. Maybe we can just have a quick show of hands. Who is here from Patient Advocacy and Foundation? So more than a dozen here. And what about academia? And industry? Good. So I think what it shows is that we really have a nice proportion of each of these groups here. And the whole idea of ALD Connect is, as we're tackling a rare disease, is that we really want all the different perspectives to help move us forward. And that it really takes a village to bring treatments to the bedside. And we want to encourage everybody to bring their talents and their skills to this field. So for those of you who are new to ALD Connect and are here for the first time, I thought I'd start off with just a brief statement on the mission and what we were thinking as we started, and how when we formulated our bylaws, we formulated our vision. Really, the mission of the consortium is to bring everybody together who wants to advance clinical care, advance research for adrenal leukodystrophy by a diverse slew of different approaches, everything from advancing scientific knowledge to raising awareness to improving education. And we think that we can do this faster than it has been done before. We think this can be accelerated by working in new ways together, rather than remaining in silos, rather than remaining sort of in the individual institutions or organizations that we've been in before. If we start recognizing what the gaps are, can we work together and make things go faster? Are there reasons that we are held back right now because we're not addressing those gaps together? Maybe it's your neighbor who knows exactly how to do something that you're lacking in this room. And if that is so, you should have a conversation with him or her about that, right? And this is the kind of forum where we would like to foster that, right? So we really want to have cooperation happen between patient advocates, foundations, academia, industry players. Unlike organizations that have been in neurologic diseases before, we decided we didn't want to be a pure academic organization. We just didn't want to have physician scientists who are all talking to each other about things that they already knew and had agreed upon. We really wanted to have a diverse forum where people were starting to talk to each other who maybe came to the subject from different perspectives, and really would be able to contribute some richness here. Okay, now, so it's been more than 100 years that we've known about adrenal leukodystrophy, and I thought I'd just put in one slide to illustrate how far we've come, but also how much we still have to do. There was this old first photograph I found in the Harvard Library of a boy who had succumbed to cerebral adrenal leukodystrophy from 1910, and we're now in the year 2015, and I really think it's a moment where we want to pause and say, you know, we've seen this disease like many other rare neurological diseases for so long. How can we make a difference? And I think, you know, there's clearly been progress, everything from recognizing that the disease is not Schilder's disease, that there's really sort of an adrenal component to it, and a genetic component, and a metabolic component to it that were all discovered over the last century, and then the movie that gave it so much notoriety, Lorenzo's Oil, and then also the breakthroughs in gene therapy, and more recently we discovered how actually cerebral ALD comes about. and what the mechanisms are that underlie this. And I think we have a much more positive outlook today. We're really trying to think, how can we make lives better? How can we do things that are going to impact the daily life of a patient? And how can people with ALD really lead successful, happy lives? And I think that is what we are aiming to do as a community. So despite the progress, there's still so much that's lacking. And I will tell you, misdiagnosis persists in ALD families. And I think we need to do more about this. And I think as newborn screening is now coming about, and that's really one of the big accomplishments that all the patient advocacy groups here accomplish together, we will see more of this. Here, families that I've seen in the past year, where every time you diagnose a boy with ALD, you find out about the family history and about all these misdiagnoses, whether it's fibromyalgia or multiple sclerosis. Or last week, I saw a woman who had been notified by her niece, who had a boy who had just gone through a transplant. They met in a supermarket, and she said, you know, the mother of the boy said, "Why didn't you tell me that we had adrenoleukodystrophy in the family?" And she said, "I didn't know that. We all have hereditary spastic paraplegia." And all these adults carry that diagnosis of hereditary spastic paraplegia. And this has been going on for decades, right? And how just every time there is this one diagnosis, you uncover and reveal all these other patients that have been misdiagnosed for many years. So I think there's a big opportunity here for us to put ALD on the map. So I was sitting at my barbershop in Cambridge, and we're talking about the turmoils in the world, everything from the refugee crisis in Europe to other matters, and the mood was sinking. And then my Greek barber said, "You know, the first 100 years of life are hard, then it gets easier." And I thought, that's great. You know, that's actually that's something that I've been I should cherish. And I think if we think about the first 100 years of adrenoleukodystrophy, I think we've gone from, you know, standing to walking, and we're now about to be ready to, you know, to start undertaking trials for disease like AMN that we haven't done before. So we're ready to fly here. And I think we had our first annual meeting in Boston in 2013, next one in 2014, and you can see we grew in number and size, and I think really testimony to our joint undertaking. We have much to celebrate. There's we just were declared champions of hope and honored at Huntington Beach, and Kathleen Sullivan Fortin and Ben Lanail were there and represented us, and of course I think the biggest breakthrough, and really here are all the people to thank for that. The Federal Advisory Committee for Diseases in Newborns voted to recommend the addition of ALD to the National Newborn Screening. This is really going to transform the field. I think we're going to see many more patients diagnosed in a pre-symptomatic stage. There's going to be really a huge impact upon our ability to conduct effective trials in this field now. But there's also much work ahead. Approximately 5,000 AMN patients, men and women, in the US, currently have no treatments. This year, 40 boys will undergo bone marrow transplant. A third will be too advanced for optimal transplant. And another 20 boys will not even be eligible for any treatment options because of the severity of cerebral ALD. So I think there are really big obstacles that we should face head on. So all stakeholders are here in the same room, and I think the show of hands demonstrated that we have really nice representation from patients and advocates, from academics, from industry. And I guess my questions for you as patients and advocates: how can we together make your lives better? How can you be empowered? How can you make a difference? And towards the academics, what do you need to be successful to bring research forward, to make your clinical practice more effective? And I guess the industry, in the words of Alex Sherman, look no further. I think everybody here in the room is ready to help you and is ready to bring that crucial data that you need in order to conduct your trial, whether it's natural history, whether it's biomarkers. We're thinking about these things together. So I think there are many people here from the patient organizations that I have to thank, and really what we're aiming to do is bring everybody together who has a stake in the game. And we also want to learn from other organizations, and we're happy to have Friedreich's Ataxia Research Alliance join us tomorrow. We have also NTSAD and coming in, and of course Dean is helping on from the MLD Foundation. We share many common challenges, and I think as we exchange information, as we learn from each other, we can make so much faster progress. So many academic institutions are part of ALD Connect and have already are using informed consents together, are using data collection together, and you'll hear more about this. And we have also groups from Europe here. Stefan is here from Amsterdam. We've had meetings with groups in Argentina as well. So we're really looking to be a resource for people who around the world who are trying to improve their clinical and research practice. We're happy that NIH has also been funding some of our investigators over the past year. Keith Van Haren and Patricia Mussolino both got K Awards in the past year and are making tremendous strides on clinical research, as well as our understanding the mechanisms behind cerebral ALD. So we have a 3-day meeting. The first day is really devoted to our structure, how we work together. This should be a working meeting where we think together, have panel discussions together. Tomorrow we're going to talk about how we work with other related neurodegenerative diseases, and there'll be a patient learning academy where we have experts on symptom management come in and speak to us. And then day 3 is devoted to experimental treatments and what is in the pipeline, what does the future hold. So how do we work together? For those who do not know, we have a board of directors. We have different work groups dedicated to different topics, everything from governance and funding to outcome measures, disease mechanisms, and dissemination of ALD-related information. You'll hear much more about this. We try to work together and strive for consensus, not simply rule by majority. I think it's really important to us to be all-inclusive, to hear even the minority voice. I think that is what makes us richer. Just faces to our board, so if you don't know who the names are, now you hopefully see some of the faces. Feel free to approach everybody on the board, and we are happy that we really have a third of our board is made up of patients and patient advocates, and we have a lot of very experienced bench scientists and clinical researchers there as well. So I think we are able to be nimble and do some things that are harder for organizations that exclusively favor one group versus the other. So our partners are also sponsors. We've had funding from PCORI, from industry, from NIH, as I mentioned. Our bank account is independent of academic institutions. That was very important to us, that we show that we are not bound to one single academic institution, increasing the buy-in from others. We got a first PCORI award in January of 2013. We weren't funded for phase 2, and we'll be talking about that and how we are trying to learn from that review. But we continue to have a lot of industry support, philanthropy, and I think we're doing good science and mentoring, hopefully, young investigators to be successful. We had a biomarker summit in March where we had 52 people attend, many people here in the room, and we've had first joint projects on biomarkers rise from that. And our Patient Learning Academy, the first one, also around that time, helping patients really raise awareness around what is important to them, understanding the process of also drug development and what it means to bring something into a clinical trial. How do you form expectations and anticipations around that? And we launched a patient portal that you'll hear more about, which I think has really rivaled our physician-entered data and shows what a motivated patient community can do in a very short amount of time. So we're a learning system. We're by no means perfect. As a matter of fact, I think there's so much evolving and so much good momentum that we're constantly trying to improve. We have strengthened project management. We have additional members. We have regular meetings and conference calls trying to address deliverables and our workflow. We've revised our bylaws with the help of Brian Chandler and others. We've improved efficiency, and we're starting to have regular calls with coordinating staff across sites. So just to also give some faces to some of the names and people that are working so hard on this. I think a lot of this meeting we have to thank Ina for, who has really done a remarkable job in all the logistics. Okay, big round of applause. Okay, so every time her disorganized boss is coming up with some new idea, she's very patient and listens, and then she does the right thing. So I think that's a big credit to her. And we have new people on board who are really helping us in this next year. Rosina Aziz-Bose, who really came from being a coordinator of a gene therapy trial in ALD and really knows the community very well, has really helped us get a lot of the IRB and informed consents across 5 different sites up and running, and more recently Priya Vader, who is the project manager for Neurobank, which is our repository that helps harmonize and standardize data across 5 sites as well as the patient portal. So how to grow and work with others. I think what we want to do in 2016, we'll spend more time talking about that. We want to engage patients across different clinical centers across the world. We want to learn from others. We don't have all the answers, right? We want to be open and receptive to other people who might have thought longer about this. What is happening in the ALS field? What is happening in the Friedreich's ataxia field? Can we work even closer with other organizations, right? With I know ULF is here, and GLIA will be talking tomorrow. We have NTSAD, the Leukodystrophy Care Network, ELA, people all the way from France. So I think that's wonderful. We've had requests for contact and engagement. We're going to be at the ALD Life meeting in the UK. So together, we can envision what's necessary. I think there's more that we share across these different neurologic conditions or communities than what separates us. And National Tay-Sachs and Allied Diseases and the Leukodystrophy Care Network. Okay, and you'll hear more about this. So I just put the abbreviations up here. So lastly, I want to thank our partners and sponsors, and I think of them as more as sponsors, as really companies also and organizations who are invested in our learning process and how we go about things, and so I think that really is what's going to propel us forward. Okay, so thanks everybody. That was just setting the stage. You'll hear much more now. Thank you.